Malaga Radio.
Freshly squeezed.
The juice on all the daily events along the coast.
With just a little bit of zest.
Welcome to the Malaga Radio Weekly Diary. I'm Carmen.
And I'm Baptiste. And together we're your guides to the first week of September, Monday the 1st through Sunday the 7th.
After a whole month of ferias, this week feels like a turning point. September brings harvest festivals, cultural nights, and a little more breathing room, but still plenty of energy.
And for our special spotlight, we're doing something new. We realize the diary always covers one-off events, concerts, ferias, exhibitions, but not the timeless adventures you can do any week. So this time, we each made a bucket list of the most unusual, surprising experiences on the Costa del Sol. From wolves under the moon to Smurf-blue villages and hot air balloons, we each a duel to see whose list wins.
First, we'll take you through this week's highlights. Harvest fiestas in Manilva and Almáchar, Candlelit concerts in Malaga, and the Torre del Mar air show. One of the biggest free spectacles of the year.
So whether you're here for the wine, the art, the nightlife, or the outdoors, this week's diary has something for you.
Let's dive in.
Malaga Radio.
You know what, Baptiste, every week we dive into the fiestas, the concerts, the exhibitions, but there's a whole side of Malaga we've hardly touched, the things you can do that aren't tied to a calendar.
Exactly. They don't have a start time. They don't sell out in one night. They're the kind of adventures you can put on your must-do list no matter when you land on the Costa del Sol.
And honestly, some of them are wild. From wolves howling under the moon to villages painted Smurf-blue, treasure caves, even hot air balloons drifting over Ronda at sunrise. They're not events, but they're experiences that shape your holiday memories just as much.
So here's what we thought. Instead of just reeling them off, we made it a challenge. We each wrote a bucket list of 10 unusual things to do here on the Costa del Sol. 10 adventures we'd love to take off ourselves.
And we haven't shown each other our lists until now. So let's see where we match, where we clash, and maybe which ones make us change our minds along the way.
Welcome to the Weekly Diary Bucket List Duel. All right, Carmen, moment of truth. First item on my bucket list, foot golf. Yep, an actual golf course. But instead of clubs and tiny balls, you're kicking a football into giant holes, 18 holes, bunkers, lakes, the whole deal, but with your boots.
That's so you. Sporty, but a little bit silly. I've seen people out there in their full football kits treating it like the Champions League final. Okay, not bad, but mine's better. Disc golf in Mijas. Frisbees flying across the hills. Did you know it's ranked the number one course in Spain?
Number one spin with frisbees. Please, how hard can it be? Throw, walk, throw again.
Oh, don't knock it. There's a whole pro scene. 2 courses, one for beginners and one that even seasoned players struggle with. And I hear Europeans fly in just to practice there.
Fine, you score a point for international flair. But let me raise you wakeboarding. Not on the sea, on a lake. There's a cable park in Marbella. It looks like a giant water ski playground with jumps and rails. You can get 9 people on at once. That's pure adrenaline.
Okay, that does sound fun, but let's slow it down for the families. My pick? A glass-bottom boat trip. You don't even need to swim. Sit back, watch the dolphins, and peek under the waves through the panels. It's like snorkeling without getting your hair wet.
Classic, Carmen. I bring wakeboards and adrenaline. You bring windows and dolphins.
Hey, not everyone's a daredevil. And honestly, imagine being a kid and seeing the underwater world for the first time without ever leaving the boat. That's magic.
Fair point. All right, round 1 verdict. I'll admit, disc golf and dolphins almost convinced me, but foot golf still wins for style. Picture me in golf shoes and shin pads.
That picture is exactly why you don't win, Baptiste. All right, Baptiste, my turn to raise the stakes. Forget frisbees and footballs. How about bathing in the same hot springs the Romans used 2,000 years ago? Carratraca still has the old spa, marble floors, grand columns. You can literally sit where emperors once soaked their battle scars.
Okay, there's a power move. I'll give you history points. But I'm going to howl back with something better. Wolves, real wolves. Just outside Antequera, there's a park where you can walk with a guide at dusk and hear the pack calling across the hills. It's not a zoo. They live in proper enclosures, in their own social groups, I swear. The sound of them under the moon would give you chills.
Now that is strong. I'll admit it. Wolves beat emperors. But let me take us into the forest. Near Paruta, there's a trail where carved faces peer out at you from the trees. elves, goblins, fairies, all shaped into olive wood by a local artist. They call it the Enchanted Forest. Kids love it, but walk it at twilight and tell me it doesn't feel a little haunted.
Enchanted forests and boblins. You really are building a fairy tale, Carmen. But nothing beats sheer scale. Picture this. El Torjel de Antequera. Rock towers and twisted limestone that look like you've landed on another planet. And they do full moon hikes where you wander between the formations under starlight. That's not just nature. That's science fiction.
Okay, I admit it. Wolves and moonlit rocks might have just stolen the round. My hot springs feel like a bubble bath compared to that.
Glad we agree. Round 2 goes to me. Wolves, goblins, and alien landscapes for the win.
Only because I let you. Okay, I'm opening this round with pure legend. Imagine a cave that's one of only 3 marine caves in the world, and inside, archaeologists found prehistoric remains, Bronze Age tools, and a legend of hidden treasure. That's Cueva del Tesoro in Rincón de la Victoria. If there's anywhere in Malaga to go full Indiana Jones, it's there.
That's a solid start. A cave with treasure beats a lot of things. But picture this. A whole village up in the Serigné de Ronda painted bright blue, Júzcar. What started as a movie promotion for the Smurfs stuck. And now the entire place is murals, mushroom houses, even a zip line strung between the rooftops. It's like stepping into a cartoon.
Yes, I knew you'd play the Smurfs card sooner or later. But let me take you darker. Malaga by day is sunny plazas and tapas bars. But at night, you can walk the streets with a guide who whispers stories of murders, ghosts, and even a poltergeist that rattled an old convent. It's called Mysterious Malaga. And once you've walked those alleys at midnight, you'll never see the city the same way again.
Ghosts are good, but I'll top it with tack. The bull ring at La Malagueta has just opened the world's first virtual bullfighting experience. No bulls, no blood. Instead, you step into the sand with VR headsets, simulators, 3D projections. You even get access to the hidden chapel and infirmary. It's cultural heritage, reimagined with lasers and headsets. That's history meeting the future.
Okay, I'll give you that one. Treasure caves and smart villages are fun, but stepping into a bull ring without a bull, that's pretty groundbreaking.
So are we calling this one a draw?
Fine, but only because I want to keep the treasure cave on the winners list.
All right, Carmen, I'm going straight for the skies. Imagine floating at dawn over a Ronda, the gorge below you, the white town waking up, vineyards stretching to the horizon, a hot air balloon, champagne breakfast when you land. It's not cheap, but it's the definition of unforgettable.
It is hard to top, but I'll fly myself, thank you very much. Vedias Malaga has schools where you can take microlight lessons, paramotors, little aircraft, even simulators. One morning you're a tourist, the next you're a pilot. Now, that's bucket list material.
Touche, but some of us prefer the sea. And in Marbella, the yachts aren't just boats, they're floating mansions. Crew waiting with kavav, music on deck, toys in the water. You can spend an afternoon pretending you're in a music video or charter for days and never see the same horizon twice.
Good idea, not bad. But let's end the day where you least expect it. Forget hotels. How about glamping in a luxury tent in the hills with your own pool? Or a castle hotel built on Moorish foundations? Or even cave-style houses tucked into the mountains? The Costa del Sol isn't just where you visit. It's where you can sleep like nowhere else.
Okay, I'll admit it. Hot air balloons, yachts, castles. This round is stacked. We might need a second bucket list just for the premium picks.
Or we just promise ourselves we'll actually do one of these before the year's out. So let's take stock. What actually made it onto both our lists?
Wolves, definitely. No argument there.
And the treasure cave? That's a must. It's not every day you get legends, archaeology, and a marine cave all in one.
Hot air balloon over Ronda. That was on both of ours. No surprise. If we don't do that soon, we're failing at this job.
And I'll add the virtual bullfighting. I didn't think I'd say that, but you sold me. It's bold, modern, and it makes the bull ring feel relevant for everyone.
Let's not forget the Smurf village. Júzcar is just too good. I mean, how often do you get to zipline past a mushroom house?
Truth. So that's our overlaps. Wolves, treasure cave, balloon, virtual bull ring, and Smurf village.
Not a bad top 5 for a weekly diary debut, but I'll admit some of your picks almost made me rewrite my list. That ghost tour in Malaga, I'm still thinking about it.
And you had me with the yachts. I'll confess, cruising out of Puerto Banús with cava in hand, that might need to move higher up my list too.
So maybe the real win here is the Costa del Sol just keeps surprising us, even when we think we've seen it all.
And from this week forward, we'll keep sprinkling these bucket list adventures into the diary, not just the festivals and concerts, but the timeless things you can do whenever you're here.
But because it's not just about what's happening, it's about what's possible.
Malaga Radio.
So Baptiste, after all those bucket list adventures, we've got to come back to earth. And we're better than in the villages of Malaga, where September starts with a whirl of ferias and harvest fiestas.
Exactly. The summer heat hasn't faded, but the mood shifts. Less tourist crowds, more tradition, more roots. This week, it's grapes on the food, garlic in the soup, and a fair too, lighting up the whitewashed streets.
Let's start in Ronda, where the Feria de Pedro Romero runs from the 2nd to the 7th of September. It's one of Andalusia's most prestigious ferias, named after the legendary bullfighter. Now, normally the Gorriesca, the big historic bullfight, is the centerpiece, but this year it's cancelled again while the bull ring is under renovation. Does that mean the Feria loses its shine? Not at all. If anything, it feels more accessible, more about the day-to-day traditions. The carriages parading through town, the international carriage competition with antique carts polished like jewels, the streets alive with music and costumes during the Cabalgata parade.
Yeah, it makes it less about spectacle and more about people. The day fair fills the streets of Ronda's old center with tapas, dancing, flamenco shows. Then at night, the action moves to the fairground outside town, rides, casquetas, and food stalls. I love how Andalusian ferias always have that dual rhythm, day for culture, night for carnival. And Ronda really nails both.
And of course, you eat your way through it. Plates of jamón, montaditos, sweet wine from the Serrania. Even without the bullfight, the Feria de Pedro Romero still has that timeless sense of being at the heart of Andalusian culture.
From Ronda, let's head down to the coast, all the way to Manilva, where on the 6th and 7th of September, the Fiesta de la Vendimia takes over. If you've never seen grape stumping, this is the place. The whole town turns into a wine fiesta. It starts with a mass and procession, then horses parade through the streets, and by Sunday, the famous Pisa de la Uva, treading the grapes, happens in Plaza de la Vendimia. The juice from those first grapes is offered to Our Lady of Sorrows and then poured for the crowd as the season's first must wine.
It's a wonderful moment, the kind of communal act that links past and present. Farmers finish their harvest, families gather, and everyone shares in the new wine. It's not just drinking, it's storytelling. It's Andalusian identity pressed into a glass. And it's colorful too. Flamenco dancing in the streets, live bands, Rociero choirs. Manilva may be a small town, but on Vendimia weekend, it feels like the capital of Malaga.
And you don't have to be a wine buff to enjoy it. The atmosphere is welcoming. Tourists are folded right into the celebration. It's one of those festivals where you really feel like you're in the heart of the community.
Now, if grapes are Manilva's gift, garlic and almonds are Almáchar's. On September 6th, this little Ajarquia village hosts the Fiesta del Ajoblanco. It's the province's oldest food festival, and it celebrates Ajoblanco, a cold soup made of almonds, garlic, olive oil, and grapes. Humble ingredients, but full of history. Visitors are handed free bowls of soup, raisins, and local wine as they wander the narrow streets.
And there's music too, Rociero choirs, traditional dance, and at night, a full flamenco performance. I love how these food festivals aren't just about eating. They're about honoring the crops, the harvest, the culture. Almáchar turns its simplest dish into a reason to sing and dance.
And that's the magic, isn't it? You could fly to Paris or Rome for haute cuisine. But here, a garlic and almond soup in a tiny Andalusian village is elevated to a festival. It shows how food is identity.
Now let's give some quick shout-outs. Because September is busy. Ardail has its own feria early in the month, small, rustic, very local, but worth a stop if you're exploring inland. Moclañejo hosts its winemakers festival around this time too, though dates can shift. It's a chance to taste muscatel straight from the barrel, and Alozaina often celebrates the olive harvest with its Feria de la Aceituna. These smaller fiestas may not draw huge crowds, but they're the soul of Andalusian village life.
Yes, and we always remind our listeners, even if you don't plan on a specific feria, you might stumble into one while driving through the mountains. In September, every village seems to have a Saint's Day or a food fair. That's part of the charm.
Now for our travel pick. If you want tradition on tap, not waiting for festival dates, head to Fuengirola and Funke El Catujano. They run a weekly tableau, flamenco, and horse show. And that's pure Andalusian spirit. Dancers stamping out rhythms, riders guiding Andalusian horses with unbelievable grace. It's the Feria experience wrapped into a single evening, available all year round.
Exactly. It's the kind of thing you can book on any trip, not just this week. A perfect example of what we now call our bucket list adventures, evergreen experiences that carry the same Andalusian magic as a feria.
So from grapes and garlic to Ronda's carriages, September's first week is a feast of tradition, living culture at its best.
And up next, we're leaving the ferias behind and stepping into Malaga's museums, theaters, and candlelit exhibitions, culture and creativity. That's after the break.
Malaga Radio.
So, Baptiste, after the grapes and garlic of our ferias, it feels right to change pace a little. September is also a month for art and heritage, and this week, Malaga shines with culture.
Exactly. One of the things I love here is that you can go from a village lit by candles to an international art show in a glass cube on the port, all in the same weekend. This week has some brilliant contrasts.
Let's start inland in Carratraca. From the 5th to the 7th of September, the whole village transforms for the Festival Embrujo Andalusí. It's magical, literally. At dusk, the lights go off and thousands of candles are lit, lining the streets, balconies, courtyards. It feels like stepping into another time.
Yeah, Carratraca becomes a Moorish village again for the weekend. Food stalls with couscous and tagines, people in medieval dress, parades, concerts in the bull ring. It's a total sensory experience. And there's something very intimate about it too. It's not a giant city festival. It's tucked away in the mountains.
And that setting makes it even more atmospheric. Imagine walking through candlelit streets with Andalusian music echoing, the scent of spices, the sound of flamenco guitars. It's like culture performed by the whole village. I'd say it's one of the most beautiful small festivals in Malaga province.
From Carratraca's medieval glow, let's jump forward to modern art, because in Malaga City, time is running out to catch one of the year's biggest exhibitions. Kandinsky at the Centre Pompidou closes on September 8th. It's the final week to see works from the pioneer of abstract art. We're talking bold colors, shapes that don't imitate reality but express emotion.
Kandinsky was a revolutionary, painting music, painting feelings, and seeing those works in Malaga's Pompidou, the big glass cube down at Muelle is a reminder that this city is now a world-class art hub. We always say it, but it's true. You don't have to go to Paris or Berlin for these shows. Malaga brings them right to the port.
And what I like is the mix, tourists coming in off cruise ships, locals with season passes, families wandering in because the cube itself catches their eye. It feels alive, not just an art show behind quiet walls.
Right. And there's something about a closing exhibition, the urgency of it. If you miss this week, it's gone. That makes it special.
Now, Carmen, let me take us to Estepona, where art doesn't live in galleries at all. It's on the streets. Coco Dávez' Faceless exhibition is open air, and it's so playful. She paints these bright portraits without faces, recognizable just by hair, clothes, posture. You stroll through Estepona, and suddenly there's a splash of color staring back at you.
It's such a clever idea. Art that's universal. Anyone can connect with it. And Estepona has become this open-air museum with murals covering buildings and now exhibitions like this. It turns a walk into a cultural treasure hunt. Even if you don't plan to see art, you end up seeing it.
And I think that's the magic of culture here. It's not locked away, whether it's a Coco Dávez or the massive botanical orchidarium. Estepona surprises you by making art part of daily life.
And speaking of surprises, Malaga City has plenty more beyond Kandinsky. The Museo Picasso is hosting a Farah Atassi exhibition. Geometric, modern, inspired by interiors and still life, but with a twist. It runs until October, so less urgency, but still a great stop if you're wandering the Picasso route.
And in Estepona again, on September 7th, the Bull Ring hosts Malinche Sinfana, a musical show blending Mexican and Spanish histories through symphony and performance. It's one of those cultural hybrids that makes sense here. Spain's past retold through music and theater.
And, of course, every night in Malaga, you've got flamenco tablos. Alegría on the Port, El Gallo Ronco in the Old Town, Teatro Flamenco Malaga with its dramatic staging. These aren't festivals in the calendar sense, but they're cultural anchors happening every week.
So for our travel pick this week, let's tie it all together. If you want the full cultural circuit of Malaga, there are tours and passes that give you Alcazaba, Gibralfaro, the Cathedral Rooftop, and the Picasso Museum, all in one route. You see Moorish palaces, Renaissance towers, and modern art in a single day. That's Malaga in a nutshell.
Exactly. It's the kind of anytime adventure that works in every season, not tied to September 1st or 7th, but always there. And it's a perfect way to layer history on top of your trip. So from candlelit Moorish villages to abstract shapes, from faceless portraits to symphonic histories, Malaga's cultural calendar this week is as rich as its heritage.
And the culture doesn't stop on the walls, it continues on the plate. Up next, we're talking food and hospitality, grapes, garlic, and a few feasts you'll definitely want to taste.
Malaga Radio.
So, Baptiste, we've talked about ferias and culture, but let's be honest, so much of September in Andalusia is also about what's on the table.
Absolutely. Here, a fiesta isn't complete without food and drink, and this week it's grapes, garlic, and a few gourmet surprises. If you're hungry, this is your segment.
Let's begin in Manilva, because the Fiesta de la Vendimia is the highlight of the season. On the 6th and 7th, this little coastal town turns into wine country. We mentioned it earlier for its traditions, but from a food perspective, it's a feast. You got the grape stomping in Plaza de la Vendimia, where the first mast wine is pressed and poured, but around it, the casetas and food stalls serve everything from mandaritos to local cheeses. And it's all washed down with sweet muscatel.
And it's not just about drinking. Vendimia is about sharing. Families lay out long tables, neighbors bring dishes, and suddenly you're part of this communal open-air banquet. I love that mix. One moment you're watching a parade of horses, the next you're shoulder to shoulder with strangers, eating tortilla and sipping the season's first wine. Food here isn't separate from the fiesta. It is the fiesta.
From wine to soup. And not just any soup. In Almáchar, on September 6th, they celebrate the Fiesta del Ajoblanco. We touched on it earlier under traditions, but it deserves a second mention here, because Ajoblanco is a dish with a story. It's a cold soup made from almonds, garlic, bread, olive oil, and grapes. Sounds humble, right? But this little Azcarquia village has elevated it to an icon.
Exactly. Visitors are handed bowls of soup, raisins, local wine as they wander the streets, and the whole village joins in. Music, rociero choirs, and flamenco performances at night. I think what makes it so special is how it honors the past. Ajoblanco was the food of farm workers, a way to keep going in the summer heat, and now it's celebrated like a delicacy. This pure Andalusian spirit, taking the simplest ingredients and turning them into culture.
And for anyone listening who loves food festivals, this is the oldest gastronomic fiesta in Malaga province. You're not just tasting soup, you're tasting centuries of history.
Now let's swing upscale. Not all food in September is rustic and homemade. Sometimes it's about dining as theater. On September 7th, Olivia's in La Cala hosts one of its famous dinner shows. Picture a long lunch or evening meal with live music, dancing, and a crowd that's dressed up for the occasion. It's glitz and glamour, the opposite of Almáchar's village square, but just as much a part of Costa del Sol's food culture.
Yeah, Olivia's is where you go if you want that blend of entertainment and dining. Think fine wines, plated dishes, and performers right by your table. It shows the other side of hospitality here, not just feria food or farmer soup, but cosmopolitan dining that could rival Marbella or London. Of course, smaller food experiences are everywhere too. Ronda's Feria we mentioned earlier isn't just about horses and carriages. The casetas there are overflowing with tapas, ham, and local wine. In Marbella, on September 1st, the weekly market is full of fresh produce, artisan breads, cheeses, and olives. Ardales has its own fair, small but full of homemade pastries and barbecues. And even if dates shift, Moclaniejo usually hosts a winemaker's festival around now. And Alosaina celebrates the olive harvest with its Feria de la Aceituna.
And that's the thing, you don't need to plan every bite. If you're driving through the Axarquia or inland villages, chances are you'll stumble across a food fair or a town square with long tables and free tastings. September is when the harvest comes in and the locals make sure no one goes hungry.
And now for our travel peak, because food adventures don't stop when the festivals end. If you're in Malaga any week of the year, you can join a tapas and wine tour through the historic center. Guided walks that take you to tucked away bodegas, family-run bars, and markets. Or if you'd rather roll up your sleeves, there are paella and sangria cooking classes where you cook alongside local chefs.
I love those classes. You start with shopping in the market, learning how to pick the freshest seafood or the right rice, and then you end the day eating the paella you made yourself, glass of sangria in hand. It's the perfect mix of learning and indulgence.
And the beauty is you can book this any week. They're not bound to September. They're part of what we now call our bucket list adventures, evergreen experiences that capture the flavor of Andalusia whenever you visit.
So whether you're stomping grapes in Manilva, sipping garlic soup in Almáchar, or dressing up for a dinner show in La Cala, September is one long banquet.
And after you've had your fill, you'll want some music to keep the night alive. Up next, we're diving into the concerts, candlelit symphonies, and flamenco tablos that make up Malaga's nightlife this week.
Malaga Radio.
September nights on the Costa del Sol are anything but quiet. The ferias may keep the streets alive, but step aside from the casitas and you'll find concerts in castles, symphonies by candlelight, and flamenco that goes on until dawn.
And that's what I love. It's not one kind of music. This week, you can listen to world-class guitarists in the Alcazaba, Moorish melodies in a candlelit village, or rooftop DJs in Marbella. If you like sound, September's got a soundtrack.
Let's start with the big one, the Pepe Romero Guitar Festival, running from the 5th to the 7th of September. Now, Pepe Romero is a legend in the classical guitar world, and this festival carries his name with pride. It brings international performers right into Malaga's most iconic venues. Imagine hearing Spanish guitar echoing through the Alcazaba or played under the stars at Gibralfaro Castle. It's one of those moments where the setting is as much a part of the music as the performance.
Exactly. It's not just a concert, it's an experience. Classical guitar under ancient stone walls, the city lights below, the sea in the distance, and it's not stiff or formal. Audiences here clap, cheer, and embrace the music. You don't need to know your arpeggios from your allegros. You just need to sit back and let the strings take you.
And it's such a Malaga moment, isn't it? Art in the open air, surrounded by history, with the breeze of the Mediterranean drifting in. If you want to hear Andalucia's soul, it's in the guitar, and this festival delivers it in spades.
From castles to candlelight, let's head inland again to Carratraca and the Festival Embrujo Andalusí. We already mentioned it in our culture segment for its Moorish magic, but musically it deserves its own spotlight. By night, the bullring becomes a stage for flamenco and Andalusian music, with the whole village listening under the stars. The sound of a cantar's voice echoing against candlelit walls, that's goosebumps territory.
And it's not only flamenco. The music takes on Moorish rhythms, Arab Andalusian styles, and fuses them with modern arrangements. You hear history in the courts, and in between, you can wander out into the square, still lit by candles, and hear groups of musicians playing in the streets. Carratraca becomes a living soundtrack for a weekend.
Small town, big atmosphere. You don't need a ticket to the bullring to enjoy it. Just being in the village, that weekend music finds you. That's what makes Embrujo so special.
Now, from ancient rhythms to cinematic ones. On September 7th, Malaga hosts two of its famous candlelight concerts. One is Rings and Dragons, a night of fantasy soundtracks from Lord of the Rings to Game of Thrones, played by a string quartet with hundreds of candles flickering around them. The other is a tribute to the great Ennio Morricone, the maestro of movie scores. Think The Good, the Bad, and the Ugly, Cinema Paradiso, Once Upon a Time in the West. All those epic themes played live in intimate candlelight.
Yeah, and that's the charm of the Candlelight series. You could hear this music in a cinema, but live with strings in a historic building bathed in candles. It feels like stepping into the movie itself. You don't just listen, you feel it, and it's surprisingly accessible, not stuffy, just atmospheric. You don't need to know Morricone's whole catalog. You'll recognize the melodies, and you'll probably hum them on the way out.
And it's a perfect date night too. Music, candlelight, the whole city waiting outside afterwards for a late tapas.
Of course, not all nightlife is symphonies and strings. Down the coast, Mare Nostrum Fuengirola adds its own flavor on the 5th and 6th, a DJ session one night and a comedy special the next. That venue on the seafront has become a hub for all sorts of entertainment. One week it's international stars. The next it's local DJs keeping the crowd moving under the open sky.
And if you're in La Cala, Olivia's is still serving its dinner shows. This week they've got music on the 1st, the 3rd, and the 5th. Glamorous dining with live performances. It's a different side of nightlife, more champagne and chandeliers than casetas and beer tents, but that's the Costa del Sol. High-low, rustic, and luxury all in one.
But don't forget the Hard Rock Hotel Marbella. Every day this week, they're running their cool sessions, poolside DJs, cocktails, a younger vibe. It's the kind of place where you spend the afternoon, but it stretches right into the night.
And if you're near a feria this week, like Marro or Manilva, stay after dark. The Rosierro choirs, the live bands, the spontaneous flamenco that breaks out in the casita. Sometimes the best nightlife isn't on the calendar at all. It's just part of the feria.
Now for our travel peak, if you want Andalusian nightlife on demand, nothing beats a Tablo Flamenco in Malaga City. Places like Alegría down by the port, El Gallo Ronco in the old town, or Teatri Flamenco Malaga put on shows every night. Singers, dancers, guitarists, the raw heart of flamenco up close is the kind of experience that never gets old, whether it's your first time or your 50th.
Exactly. And it's the essence of nightlife here. You don't need a festival date. Just pick a night, book a table, and let the rhythm of flamenco carry you away. We call these our bucket list adventures because they're timeless. You can do them anytime and they'll still blow you away. So from castles to candlelight, from Moorish chants to flamenco hills, September's nights are a mix of elegance and energy.
And when the sun comes up, the action moves outdoors. Air shows, races, and adventures across the coast. That's coming up next.
Malaga Radio.
Baptiste, we've had our fill of grapes and garlic, music and museums, but September isn't only about festivals and food. The Costa del Sol is one giant outdoor playground.
Exactly, and this week the outdoors are buzzing, from jets carving the sky over Torre del Mar to runners pounding the streets of Marbella. There's as much action outside as there is on any stage.
Let's start with the big spectacle, the Torre del Mar Air Show. From the 5th to the 7th of September, this quiet seaside town becomes the center of attention. Tens of thousands line the beaches to watch acrobatic planes twisting and rolling above the waves. You've got fighter jets thundering past, parachute teams spiraling down, helicopters hovering over the sea. It's a 3-day festival of aviation.
And the best part? It's free. Just grab a towel, head to the sand, and look up. Families bring picnics, kids cheer as planes loop overhead, and the atmosphere is electric. It's one of the Costa del Sol's biggest public shows, and it's pure adrenaline without needing a ticket.
I love how it turns the whole coastline into an arena. You're shoulder to shoulder with strangers, all craning your necks, clapping, gasping together. For me, that collective awe, that moment when everyone looks up at once, that's the real magic of the air show.
And it's not just military hardware. Aerobatic pilots paint the sky with trails of color. Teams fly in formation so tight it makes your stomach flip, and sometimes you even get surprise stunts with smoke and fireworks. It's theater in the clouds.
From the sky to the streets, Marbella hosts the Talla Carrera Solidaria Rota 91 on September 5th. It's a 5K charity run organized by Spain's National Police, and it's not just for athletes. You've got categories for serious runners, kids, even walkers. The whole point is inclusivity and community.
And I love events like this. They're small compared to the air show, but they have heart. Families come out, parents run alongside their kids, older runners jog at their own pace, and the cause matters, raising funds and awareness for local charities.
Plus, Marbella makes a great backdrop for a run. Seafront stretches, shaded streets, cheering locals. It feels less like a competition and more like a festival of movement. And if you're not a runner, you can still join the crowd, clap, cheer, and be part of it.
Now, if you prefer your history with a dose of action, Malaga City is hosting magical nights at the Alcazaba on the 4th and 5th. This isn't your typical museum visit. By night, the Alcazaba fortress comes alive with medieval fencing demonstrations, guided night tours, and performances that blend sport, heritage, and theater.
It's one of those events where the line blurs. Is it culture? Is it sport? Is it history? It's all three. You wander through torchlit courtyards, hear the clang of swords, watch reenactors duel under the stars, It's immersive, and it turns a monument you might have toured in the daytime into something unforgettable.
And it shows how Malaga knows how to reimagine its heritage. The Alcazaba isn't just stone walls, it's a stage. Add fencing and music, and suddenly the past feels alive again.
And of course, we can forget that some of the week's festivals double as outdoor adventures too. In Manilva, grape stomping at the Vendimia is as physical as it gets. Feet in barrels, juice flying everywhere. In Almáchar, the Fiesta del Ajoblanco is as much about gathering outdoors as it is about soup. These aren't sports in the usual sense, but they're communal and active, lived in the open air.
Right? Andalusian fiestas don't need stadiums or gyms. The town square becomes the arena and the people become the players. That's sport in its most human form.
Now for our travel pick, and it's one of the ultimate Andalusian adventures, the Caminito del Rey. This cliffside walkway in El Chorro was once known as the most dangerous path in the world. It's been rebuilt, so now it's safe, but the thrill remains. You're walking on wooden planks pinned to sheer rock faces hundreds of meters above the gorge. Below, turquoise water glitters. Above, vultures circle. It's a once-in-a-lifetime hike.
And the thing is, you don't need to plan your trip around a festival date. Caminito is there year-round, waiting. Just book in advance, lace up your trainers, and go. And if heights aren't your thing, there are kayaking tours from Nerka, where you paddle past cliffs, waterfalls, and hidden caves. Outdoor adventures here aren't tied to the calendar. They're always ready.
That's why we call them bucket list adventures. They're timeless. Whether you're here this week or 6 months from now, you can have the same heart-pounding, breathtaking experience.
So from jets roaring overhead to runners on the streets, from swords in the Alcazaba to footsteps on cliffside trails, the Costa del Sol proves the outdoors are every bit as exciting as the nightlife.
And don't go anywhere, because as we close the diary, we'll tell you how to catch our podcast on demand, where to find your daily updates, and of course, how to join us every morning on Freshly Squeezed.
Malaga Radio.
And that brings us to the end of this week's diary, the very first week of September here on the Costa del Sol.
Remember, you don't have to catch us live. You can listen to the Malaga Radio Weekly Diary anytime on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, iHeartRadio, YouTube, or even by asking Alexa to play Malaga Radio.
And if a week feels too long to wait, join us every morning for Freshly Squeezed. That's where we share the day's events, plus a few tips and stories that don't always make it into the diary.
So whether you dip in daily or weekly, thank you for letting us be part of your Costa del Sol adventure.
I'm Carmen.
And I'm Baptiste. And together, we'll see you next time on the Malaga Radio Weekly Diary.
Malaga Radio.